I must admit, I didn't know what AI meant until probably about 2 months ago. And I only looked it up because on my news feed, there were a couple of articles that mentioned AI. So I thought, I don't know what that is. And I looked up what the initials meant and saw that obviously it's artificial intelligence. And I was way late to the game in finding out what the initials stood for. Once I found out, I panicked because I thought, oh God, I thought right back to, I've mentioned this in a few episodes of mine. Oh boy, 1984. Did we all forget, or did it not affect anybody like it affected me when I read 1984 in middle school? The book changed my life and terrified me for the rest of my life. I always say that ruined my life because everything in that book has more or less come true. It terrified me to think about Big Brother and the fact that you would be watched all of the time. When I was babysitting, I couldn't help but to reflect on that book and think everybody before nanny cams were a thing had a nanny cam. And it just terrified me. I think in a way it kept me well behaved, actually, for the most part, because I didn't have the kind of parents that gave enough of a care to really discipline me, especially when I needed discipline. When I was in high school, my mom didn't pay any attention. She was too busy becoming this epic alcoholic that didn't give a shit and didn't care and didn't pay attention. So rather than go off the rails like her and as she was doing at that time, I kind of created my own Big Brother and thought, okay, somebody's watching somewhere and you better behave. Do not cheat. Do the honest thing. Do everything the right way. And that way you'll get to where you need to go. And you'll do it with a good conscience. But I got into a conversation with a friend of mine who has high school age children. And it was towards the end of the year, so it would have been a couple of months ago that I learned what AI meant. And we were on the topic, and I was asking out of curiosity if her kids would be going off to universities and what she thought of it. Because before I knew what those initials stood for, I wonder if universities will become obsolete. I don't see how doing schoolwork even counts anymore. She was even telling me that there are apps where kids can do homework and robots help them. I think it's terrifying to think about. Artificial intelligence is scary to me. And I wonder how many kids actually do their own work. And when you've got a generation like my age raising kids that are so tech savvy and so in the know, how do you catch them on plagiarism or cheating and all of the above? How do you identify that? We were digging in encyclopedias. Everybody generations ahead of us had read those books. They'd read encyclopedias. They'd read all the books that you'd reference if you were going to cheat. So you'd get busted. And to save my life, I can't figure out how you would catch a kid cheating. When I brought up what this episode was going to be about, Sandler, my almost 16-year-old son, who's the host of Special Edition at the end of each and every episode, I asked him if he knew what cheating meant. And he said, yes, on your husband or wife, I believe. I am not quoting him exactly. And I burst out laughing and I thought, well, that's a much more interesting direction of cheating. But yeah, you're right. And then that had me on a whole other trail thinking about how technology has even changed the direction of cheating on somebody in a relationship and how advanced it must be at this point. I mean, again, I haven't been in a relationship for so long, but I had crazy experience in that category of life as well. And I thought, that's a fascinating topic. Cheating. It must be easier, but a lot harder to get away with at this point in time with technology the way it is, with AI and all of the things that go with it. I'm Nikki Lynn Chase, and this is my podcast, Adult Chicken. It's about navigating life's unexpected. These are my stories. This is my journey about being a single mom to two special needs kids. When I was a kid, I remember getting busted cheating. I remember the elaborate plan to cheat on a test in high school. Somebody got all of the answers and they'd taken the test. And I don't know why I hadn't taken it yet, but they gave them to me. And it was science. And I was not good at science. And I needed all of the help I could get. And I needed to pass this test to pass the class. And whoever gifted me the answers, I wrote them all out and I put them on a sheet of paper. And I went to that class, and I had a little bit of a crush on the teacher. I remember that because he listened to Jimi Hendrix, and I thought that was so cool. He was seemingly young at heart and just a cool guy. I really respected him. I liked him as a teacher, and I thought it was very cool, his music taste and selection. And he put me in the actual science lab or something to take my test. And I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. And I must have known that that's what he did and that's where he put us. And I put my paper with all of the answers underneath the test. And I was like, I got to get a few wrong on purpose, but otherwise I'm going to ace this test, no problem. And he came into the room and he said he had forgotten to tell me and he needed to show me something on the test. And he picked it up and there were all my answers sitting underneath it. And the look of disappointment on his face. And he said, Nikki, I would have never expected this from you. Mr. Nichols' face. I'll never unsee that look. I remember I didn't drive at the time, and I got dropped off at home. And I was locked out of the house. And I sat outside in the backyard for what seemed like a million hours, bawling. I was so disappointed in myself. I was so sad that I made Mr. Nichols have that look on his face and that I disappointed him, essentially. And I vowed never to cheat again. Never to cheat again. And I really didn't. I think there was one time I was in a math class and that was equally as bad of a subject for me. And this was community college when I was trying to get into CU Boulder. And I remember I did write answers to that test on a calculator. And even that dates me, obviously, because we had calculators, whereas now you would just have your phone. But it made me think, how the hell do kids not just, there's so much access to every answer in the world, and everybody's got their phones. I even have an Apple Watch that's on my wrist, usually at all times, that has so much information I don't know how to get to or use. I barely remember to look at it for the time, but it's got every app on it. And how do people not just cheat their way through life with technology the way it is? In the last episode, when I asked Sandler during special edition if he knew what cheating was, bringing up the fact that that's what this episode would be about, and he brought up, yes, relationships. I think he said specifically cheating on your wife or husband. And I thought that was so funny. I thought it was funny because he doesn't remember or know the history of my relationship with his father and all the crazy cheating and craziness that went on. But I did think to myself, that's a much more exciting aspect of cheating and storytelling when it comes to stories about cheating. That's more exciting than my history in cheating on diets, my cheating at the gym, my cheating on the two tests I took, one in high school and one in college. And I thought, yeah, that's a pretty exciting topic. So, of course, we're going to have to touch on that. And I can't help but to think that was really the topic of my relationship, my entire relationship with their father. Their father was a perpetual cheater. And that began, gosh, right from the get-go. When we met, we were immediately in a relationship. Within the first couple weeks, he was cheating on me. In the first couple weeks of our relationship, and again, I blame a lot of that being in a relationship with him on drinking a lot of beer and youth. I was very young, he was very young, and I made terrible decisions. But there was a lot of cheating. And then I don't think you ever get used to the person you think you love or that you do love cheating on you. It was a yucky, horrible feeling. And there wasn't ever a time I didn't feel it in my gut or know. There were just many times I told myself that wasn't happening. God, that would never happen to me. I'm not stupid. I would never be with somebody who cheats on me. Yet I'd see it with my own eyes, or the phone numbers would pop up. Again, we didn't have cell phones. really at that time. I don't think. Or if we did, they were heavy, clunky things that were definitely not as tech savvy as they are now. Certainly couldn't pull up files of phone bills or things like that. Camcorders were the thing. We were taking pictures with disposable cameras. That was how we took pictures. Eventually they were digital, but tracking somebody was a lot harder. You'd have to call from landlines. Those were still the thing. Landlines. Caller ID had just come out, right? So with all of that said, I did see it many times with my own eyes, but our relationship became something that the timeline of our relationship, and we were together for almost 20 years, I want to say. I don't want to say, but that is the truth. The timeline came to me knowing that year by the woman or women he was with, which is pretty pathetic and gross, but that was my reality. And before kids, there were several women. Of course, again, cell phones were not what they are. I don't even remember if we had them at that time. But Bootsy was born in 2003. So prior to that, we were living in the mountains. And I remember I got a really weird vibe from this girl. She really wanted to be my buddy, really wanted to be my friend. And we were at a restaurant. We were in a bar of a restaurant. She was there. And I think he was DJing or something. He had something to do with he was the entertainment for the night. And this girl was, let's go to the bathroom together. Let's do all these things together. I thought, why is she being so damn friendly to me? Cute gal. I mean, super overly friendly to the point where it was weird. Cute. All of these things. And I picked up on a couple things she said. And I immediately thought, oh my God, you're fucking my husband. Oh my God. We were married at the time. Probably just married at the time. And I just knew right then and there, this woman is the one that's fucking my husband. And I went to work one day, I remember, and he called me with some strange story about what he was doing and why he wouldn't be home when I got off of work. And I excused myself from work that day. I left early. And I remember she had said when she was becoming my best friend this evening out, which I just thought was so strange, I hopped in the car and I drove over to exactly where I thought she said she lived. And sure enough, there was his car. And I knocked on the door and they were drinking champagne together. I could see in the door, there were window panes on the side, and I could see them sitting there. Her feet were crossed on his lap, and they were drinking champagne. It was the middle of the day, and they were listening to music. And I remember her answering the door, and I said, he shouldn't be here. And I remember her saying to me, isn't he allowed to have friends who are girls? And I said, yeah, I really don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with the fact that you've got your feet on his lap and you're drinking champagne at 3:30 in the afternoon. And then he got nervous and he ran and hid from me. When he eventually made it outside, I picked up a stick and I remember I hit him with the stick. I just thought, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then we were going to Florida. We had a trip planned. I was working an event in Florida, and off to Florida we went. He was going to help me work this event, and I was told he'd never do anything like that again. And we made up. And then we made the decision to have our first kid. So we did. And we had Bootsy. And then the next big cheating event happened. I know he was cheating on me the entire time I was pregnant. But at that point, I just told myself it wasn't possible. No, I wouldn't be that dumb. I wouldn't be having a baby with a cheater. God, no. We'd moved to Denver. We were now thinking about buying a home. We were still taking all the steps that you were to take as a young couple, supposedly in love and starting a family. Let's forget that silly cheating stuff. Let's move on. Well, we had Bootsy. Then we buy the house that we're going to fix up. I'm going to live in that house forever, for the rest of my life, for eternity. And then I get this, boom, I get this career job opportunity back up in the mountains. And I couldn't be happier. We're going to go to Denver on the weekends. We're going to fix up our house. We're going to keep it forever. Maybe at this point we're going to sell it. I don't know. I'm loving my job. And he's going to be the stay-at-home dad, because what better thing for him to do than to just have all this idle time on his hands while he raises our kid. Well, he got the opportunity, was invited to go to a bachelor party in Tampa Bay, Florida. And this was with a childhood friend of his that he'd grown up with. I didn't know what was in Tampa Bay. I'd never been to Tampa, been to Florida, but not there. And they went. And I don't know how I was juggling it, because I was working full time. So I would go to work. I had the career job, and he was the guy that took care of the kid. So Bootsy was about 18 months old. It's the beginning stages of finding out something was a little bit awry. She was starting the early process of assessment, and to find out why she wasn't hitting milestones, if there were special needs, and if so, what was going on. And he's on this awesome bachelor party trip to Tampa Bay, and he doesn't make it home. So a couple days later, he was there for the weekend, maybe a long weekend, but a couple days after the long weekend, he still hadn't made it home. I decided I better call the guy who was getting married and just make sure he made it home, find out why my husband hadn't made it home to take care of our child. And the guy said, "Are you serious? He didn't make it home?" Again, he's in another state. And he alluded to the fact that he met somebody there at the gentleman's club. Now, I'm going to change your name, not the last part. She had a different first name. We're just going to call her Kitty Treasure. Treasure was there. That was real. That was attached to her name. And I thought, oh, well, this is the early stages of MySpace. This is the early times, the early days of social media. And there was something called MySpace. I had no idea about MySpace. I had no idea how to work it. I had no idea how it worked. I didn't know how to navigate it. But I had a friend who was, I thought, really tech savvy, because she knew how to get onto MySpace. She knew how to look at MySpace. She pulled up all kinds of information on Kitty Treasure. And you could kind of see the timeline of what they were doing and where, because this is the early stages where posts are being made. I don't think they were called posts at the time, but you kind of see what that person was doing and sort of gave a general character reference to who that person was. And Kitty Treasure worked at a gentleman's club and was a dancer. I think a very advanced, talented, exotic dancer. Well, I don't know about the talented, but I'm assuming advanced. He eventually came home a week later from this bachelor party that was for a weekend. I didn't know what to do. That became a pretty elaborate affair. The lies that went with it, the ongoing length of it. It was a lengthy affair. It was a long distance affair. I had a couple of conversations with Kitty Treasure. They were interesting. What he had told her was interesting. I stayed in that relationship until it went way too far. And it went way too far with the MySpace information that my friend was able to continue to pull up. But that MySpace thing scared me to death. And I couldn't believe what I was willing to put up with, what I was willing to forgive, I think. So after the whole Kitty Treasure situation, I ended up filing for divorce. And I couldn't believe it took me that much. And I had to go through that much of this torrent love affair he had with this stripper from Tampa. I couldn't believe it took that much information, her MySpace information that I wasn't even researching myself. It was a friend of mine who had the ability and capability to do so that was figuring this stuff out. But it did. It took all of that for me to finally file for divorce. And that's when Bootsy was given her first diagnosis, which was Raynaud's phenomenon. That's kind of at the end of the laundry list of special needs at this point, or diagnoses on her list. I just remember I'd found out. I'd taken her down to Children's, and God, it was awful. It was horrible to hear that anything was wrong with my child. And the doctor that diagnosed her said he'd never seen somebody that age. She was technically, officially, the youngest person he'd ever diagnosed with Raynaud's phenomenon. And it's in the lupus family. Both she and Sandler have it. I didn't really know what to do, and it was told there was nothing that could be done. But it broke my heart that my daughter had this diagnosis. And during this whole process of divorce and going to the courthouse and whatnot, we go to mediation, we go to the parenting plan meeting with the court officials and my attorney, and he represented himself, and there were a lot of tears shed, and there were lots of tugging on the heartstrings. And shortly after I saw him in court, divorce court, we ended up back together. And then we had Sandler. And any and everybody would question me. I questioned myself every single minute of the day. I questioned myself, what the fuck am I thinking? Why am I back together with this perpetual lying, cheating, abusing, alcoholic loser? But there I was, back again. And we had Sandler. But there's not a regret, because Sandler did come into the picture after the fact. And I thought, okay, I think he is done with Kitty Treasure. And could that be the last one? I knew in my gut, I knew in my heart, I knew in my head, no, that's not going to be the last one. It's going to be the last one for now until the next one, which ended up being somebody I worked with. Somebody came over to our house. I was really good friends with her at the time. We would go snowboarding together. We would hang out together. She was always at my house. She'd complain of not getting along with her guy, and she'd stay the night. I would loan her pajamas to sleep at my house. Essentially, I was loaning her pajamas to have my husband take off of her body. It was very strange. He had a bit of a problem. He had a big problem. I always felt like I had the bigger problem because I was the one choosing to be with the idiot. And the funny thing is, when I finally left, after all of the gazillions of years I spent with that lying, cheating person, and I got to the state of Washington, ultimately fleeing the situation, leaving him abruptly and hiding from him, he finally found us. And the first thing he did when he did find us in Washington was give me the list of people he had cheated on me with. And none of it was shocking. I think that was the most shocking thing of all. Not one person surprised me. There's tons of people I was really good friends with. I mean, I almost have to hand it to him in that he had the ability to be able to convince that many people to have sex with him. It was quite amazing. I can't say impressive. It was disgusting, but it was amazing. And some of those people were very good friends of mine. I had one of my favorite people on that list that I read. And as much as it bothered me, yes, and disgusted me, I was mostly bothered that I had been with somebody and let that go on. What surprised people the most is I remained friends with a few of them. I didn't care. I was so over him. I was so over the situation. I did not care about any of it. For me, I'm glad if I had to experience being with a cheater that it happened, well, that was about 15 years ago. And I referenced the one time because I only have the one visual, honestly. I had the gut feelings. Yes, the entire time I was with that human, I had the gut feeling that, oh my God, he's cheating on me. And yes, I found him in various situations that I knew. I knew where he'd been, what he'd done. Sometimes it was even in the comfort of my own home. And it was with people I was friends with. But with all of that said, he was so good at these elaborate lies, and I didn't want to believe. I was so stupid that I was with a perpetual cheater. I wanted to believe him, so therefore I did. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe him the 987 times he said, no, I would never be interested in her. You're the one. That's what I wanted to believe at the time. No, he would never cheat on me with that person he wasn't remotely interested in. Of course, when I got to Washington and I got that list of people he had been with, it just validated all of the gut feelings. But the only time I had reference or a visual that he had actually done it was when I found him naked in the neighbor's closet. And that's the whole episode, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Husband, that I put out, oh gosh, that was probably almost a year ago. But at the end of the day, I think how lucky I am that was 15 years ago. I'm glad it was when technology wasn't quite as savvy as it is now. I would hate to be in a relationship fueled with cheating, having to keep up with the social media, having to look up people's information and seeing all the beautiful posts of that person and seeing all the posts that they want you to see. I'd hate to be a cheater in this day and age and have multiple phones and have to elude and cover all the bases because, my God, there's so much information just available to the universe. Cheating is nuts. Cheating is, I think, made easier, but also a lot harder. I think it's easier to get caught. I think it's easier to probably do, but it's a lot easier to catch somebody. You can track where people are going, how they're getting there. You can track phones, for crying out loud. I didn't even think of that. If I'd had all the information, if there was all that AI and all the technology and all the stuff that exists now and all the things that catch cheaters now, if that had been in existence, I wouldn't have the 2 kids that I have today because I would have had that proof. I would have been smart enough to leave a lot earlier than I did, like a week into the relationship that I got into that I never should have. But I can't say that because I don't have any regrets, and I'm glad I've got 2 great kids out of the deal. That said, without further ado, I'd like to introduce great kid number 2, Sandler Chase, who is my host of Special Edition.
Hi, I'm your host, Sandler Chase. This is Special Edition, and it's Nikki Chase. Hi, say hi.
Hi, Sandler. How you doing?
I'm good. You?
Good. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome. Appreciate it.
Yes. Do you remember, do you know what this episode this week is about?
Yes. It's about cheating.
Cheating.
On your test.
Tests. But do you remember what you said last week in Special Edition when I said that the episode would be on cheating, and you said it would be about what was cheating? What were you referencing?
Boyfriend or girlfriend.
Right, boyfriend or girlfriend. So I'm going to give you the headphones to put on. There we go. And then I'm going to let you talk a little bit about cheating. So when you brought up, I was going to just talk about cheating on like a test.
Mm-hmm. And it will all come in light.
It'll always come to light. Did I teach you that?
No, you didn't. I taught myself that.
No, somebody taught you that.
Someone taught me that.
But it wasn't me?
No, it wasn't you.
I wish I was the one that taught you that. It's very
Darn
true.
it.
Darn it. I have a question for you. So going back to just cheating. Cheating in general is bad. We can both agree on that, right?
Yep. Have you ever cheated?
I did. Yeah, I cheated in high school on a science test. And I got busted. You're right. It came to light. I got in trouble. I got caught. That day I was locked out of my house, so I went and sat in the backyard of my house and I cried. And I will never forget that day. I felt horrible.
So I just need to think about that. Cheating, very bad or very not. If you ever cheat, you're not a good person.
But don't you think good people make mistakes
Yeah.
and cheat because they're trying to get ahead and they're
Yeah.
not thinking clearly. Should they be forgiven?
Yeah.
Maybe first-time offenders.
Yeah, if it's the second time or the third time or the fourth time, then don't, yeah.
Don't forgive them?
Yeah.
I agree. I think you learn from it one time. So let me ask you a question, Sandler. Have you ever cheated?
No.
Like the kind of cheating we're talking about, cheating on a test or cheating in a game.
I never cheat on a game or a test. That'd be good, actually.
Have you maybe cheated like one time?
Yeah, one time in
Playing what?
Oh no.
You've cheated playing Uno?
Yeah.
How did you look at Bootsy's cards?
Yeah.
So you knew what card to put down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, but I don't do that much. I never do it anymore. I don't do it anymore. But before, like, she started to play pool, like when she really good, like when she lonely, she kind of cheat. But now she's really good at pool.
So she doesn't need to cheat? I hope she doesn't cheat.
No.
Because I would be like a bad parent if my daughter was a cheater.
No, but once. But now she's really good at pool, so she doesn't need to cheat anymore at pool.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Now, you brought up when we were talking about what this episode would be about, which is cheating. You brought up a different kind of cheat. I mean, it's still cheating. It's still bad.
And what I say about cheating about boyfriend girlfriend, when people cheat like boyfriend girlfriend, pretend you walking with your boyfriend like store or grocery store or like in the mall, like mall. If you look at a different boyfriend, like different men, that makes become cheating. If you look at a different man, when you have a boyfriend, then that would become a cheater.
Okay, so I see. You're giving an example. So if I, hypothetically, let's just say I had a boyfriend.
If you walk around, like
And I'm
mall,
if I'm walking around the mall with my guy.
If you look at a different man,
If I saw another handsome man or I thought somebody else was good looking,
yeah,
it's not just a wandering eye. That's called cheating.
yep, definitely cheating.
Oh, definitely. Okay, and does it go any further than that? Like, is there anything else you consider to be cheating? If I'm like, say, just let's use me as an example since I'm a grown up, and if I was in a relationship, yes.
If you say I don't want to hold your hand to your boyfriend, if you hold a different guy hand, that would be really, and then your boyfriend when you have now, that would say, he might say I want to break up with you if you hold a different guy hand.
And that would be totally fair if a guy wanted to break up with me because I wanted to hold some other dude's hand. Yeah.
That would be not good.
No, that would hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Just like it would hurt my feelings if I saw my guy holding someone else's hands, holding any other body part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all in all, the bottom line is whether it's a test, whether it's on a girlfriend or boyfriend, no matter what it is, cheating or what?
A game.
Or a game, yeah. If you're cheating in a game, you're cheating on a test. You're cheating in your relationship, on your girl or guy or person. It's a bad idea.
Yep. Very, 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 very bad. And if I were you, I would not cheat on a boy, girl, game or test because you would get caught anyway. So if I were you, I would not do it. Just because if I were you, I do not want to get in trouble for a test or like any cheating. Like you would get caught anyway. So
yeah, so I brought up AI. Do you know what AI is?
No, I don't want to know.
You don't want to know? It's a good thing not to know. It's artificial intelligence, but a lot of it has to do with technology and artificial intelligence. And robots, yes.
Yeah, robots.
So the point I was making is I wondered how people even get away with cheating now with all of technology, all the
phones, computer.
yeah. How do people cheat, not get caught, or how do they make it so people don't cheat because technology? It's crazy. So really,
you should not. You should be good.
so bottom line, no matter how much technology is out there, no matter
Computer or phone or laptop or computer.
right, no matter how much information you have, no matter how much technology, no matter how much capability you have to do it, bottom line, don't cheat.
Nope.
Because it will come back to you.
Either way.
Anyway.
Or karma.
Karma, exactly.
Yeah, whatever, like any karma.
Karma, that is the word. All right, well, Sandler, I appreciate your insight. I think it's a very valuable, easy, understood lesson. Don't cheat.
Yeah, please don't cheat.
And I love you.
And I love you too.
And
Thank you
next-
for me be on your podcast.
Thank you for being on my
And
podcast.
the
Next week is going to be, do you remember? It's the word you don't particularly care for. Adaptive.
adapting skateboarding.
Well, we're going to include adaptive skateboarding, but it's about adaptive sports and people who do adaptive activities.
Yeah.
And you've got a strong opinion about the word.
I am a adaptive guy.
Yes, you're an adaptive guy. You're an adaptive skater.
Got with haters with here, green haters.
Yes, and more recently, you went to an adaptive skateboarding event where you met a couple of people that were really cool.
Yeah, because they don't have arms, legs, and they're very inspirational.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
And I think you sometimes don't realize that you're quite inspirational for other people because you too have gone through a lot and you have a great attitude.
Yeah.
You don't cheat
No,
and you inspire people.
I think I'm gonna be on your show, and I love you, and I will see you on the next episode.
Okay, and please don't forget to tell everybody, like, follow, share. Please subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
And do you want to tell people where they can find me?
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast.
All at Adult Chicken. And then there's a website, adultchicken.com.
And Seagull.
Oh, Seagulls, that is my sponsor. She makes the hats. If you donate, you can find the donation option on the website. Any donation over $100 is going to get you a trucker hat like the one I have on. If you cannot see me, it's a trucker hat with the Adult Chicken logo, which is a great conversation piece. I am finding out quickly. I owe a few of you trucker hats, and they are coming. They're coming with my next batch of hats made by Seagal, S-E-A Gal. Please check her out online. Also, any and every donation is so appreciated. If they count and they're appreciated, this is independently run, obviously, and I've got me and my host, and we do it all by ourselves. So please like, follow, share, subscribe. Make sure you go out to the world and tell all of your friends and your people.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you next week. Love you.
Love you too, Mom. Bye.